guys, Annie here, and we are going to be making our card for our love event. And this is our chibi Peter, and we took Peter and we turned him into Star-Lord, aka Peter Quill from Guardians of the Galaxy. So we will be making a cute Peter Quill Valentine's Day card. And we're going to start with his skin. And my skin tone that I like to use is E04, E11, E21, E00, E000. I usually have E quad 0, but my quad marker crystallized, and then R20. So we'll be doing our skin tone with this, just one less marker than I normally use. And we're going to go ahead and get started with our E04, and I do my body first, and then I go and I do my face. There's not much to his body, it's just his two hands and his neck area, so very small areas, and it'll go by pretty quickly. So with my E04, I'm going to first color in that back finger, and then I'm going to go under his sleeve, and I am going to go down the bottom part of his arm, where his thumb is, and then I'm going to repeat it on the other side, under his sleeve and down his thumb. And then for his neck, I'm just going to do the right side and into that little V portion. Then I'll take my E11, and I am going to go over that E04. I'm going actually right on top of it and extending it a very, very small amount. That way this E04 is going to be blending in with that E11 and starting to soften the hardness of that E04. Next, I'm going to go in with my E21, and again, go over what I just did, but I'm going to extend it out further. And this is all repetitive, and that's all you're going to be doing, is going over the previous color and extending it out further. And this will build up your layers. And next is my E00. And there's not a lot of area here to work with because it is very small. So you need to use it a little sparingly. And then our E triple is going to fill in the rest of all the parts. And there we have our first layer done. I do 2 layers of skin because I just like to kick it up and make sure that the transition of the blends are very smooth. So again, that black fingernail, the one that's tucked behind, down the side of the thumb, under the sleeve, and repeating it on the other one, and then that neck area. Second layer always goes faster because you already laid your groundwork done, so you know where your colors are going. E11 is over that E04, blending it out. On the other hand, and that neck. And then in with my E21, just repeating all of the steps, smoothing those blends. E00. Again, not much area to work in here because it's tiny like his ears. And then our E000, going over and blending everything else out. Like so. Super cute!
I don't know that one.
Seriously, my Alexa decides to go off whenever she wants. Alexa, cancel. And she's not even hanging up. There we go. She does this to me like in every live I do, it seems. She turns herself on for whatever reason. Okay, back with our EO4 to do his face. Now his ears are super, super small, so we're not gonna get all of those colors in there, but you definitely wanna get the contrast of this EO4 in there. So I'm just putting it on the little tips of that ear. And then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go underneath the whole entire hairline from where that sideburn is all the way to the other sideburns. What you wanna do though is, because EO4 is such a dark color, you want to use a very thin line. So you want to hold your pen at a 90-degree angle as much as you can and use light pressure to get a thin line as opposed to a thick line. Okay? And turn your paper as you're going. It definitely helps. But we're just going to lay down a very thin line of our EO4. And continue this all the way around to the other sideburn, like so. And I usually do this in my E11, but I'm going to do it with my EO4 this time. I'm actually going to start a little bit on his eyelid. I'm going to follow the curve of this eyelid here. I'm actually going to be on the black and extending it just a very, very small amount, and with the very, very tip of my marker, because we want a very, very small, faint little line, like so. And then I'm going to go in with my E11, E11, and we're going to go over the part in the ear, blending that out. Again, it's a small section, and then we're going to go on our EO4 on the sides underneath that hairline, and I'm kind of scrubbing onto that EO4 to really get the inks to work together and get that harsh line of that EO4 to blend into my E11. And to do that, you kind of have to scrub it together. And so I'm just going back and forth on it and going all the way around our hairline, like so. And then I'm just going to extend a little bit further past the sideburn into a little bit of the cheek area, but nothing too crazy. And then I'm going to go up on my eye here and start the shape of that eye and blending out the harshness of that EO4. And now with our E21, repeat again. We're going to go over that part in the ear. The ears are usually about half filled by this point. And then we're going to go over, but you're going to extend it a little bit further than you did with your last colors, because we have a bigger area to cover now. So I'm just extending it a little bit further out than I did with that last color. But you're definitely going to want to scrub it and make sure you're getting those harsh lines to blend together. And this is just your first layer, so it might end up looking a little blotchy. I know mine always does on my first layer. And then when you do your second layer, the Copics take to it better, that you'll get that blender, smoother blend. I'm gonna actually like kind of even that part out so it's not up. And then again with my eye, I'm gonna go around extend it. You can see how much wider I extended it now. And then on this side, and I started on the outside and I kind of went all the way around. And I'm going to do that same thing to this eye as well. And just start to make sure I get that circle shape for the eye. Now I'm going to go in with my E00. At this point, my ears are pretty much all filled in, so this will be the last color there. And then with my E00, I am going to make sure that I go all the way across the bottom of his cheeks. And then I'm going to close in the circle of that eye. So I'm going to go around and connect the circle around his eye, and then do the same thing on his other eye. Again, this is with our E20. Okay, and then I can go, and I'm going to go over his mouth because I'm going to be using reds in there anyway. So it's okay to go over that. And now I know I can go and get the blend up here taken care of. Down the side of the face. And I'm just going to go around the top parts of the eye as well. And again, if yours looks blotchy, that's quite all right. It's your first layer. It's supposed to not blend perfectly because your paper was not saturated for all of the inks to go together, but that's what the second layer really helps with. And this is my E000, just like so. But before we start our second layer, we also want to lay down the colors for our cheeks, because the more times you put the layers down of the color, they're going to build and get darker and darker. And if I put this down on the second one, the pink's really not going to show through because this is a very light pink in color. And I'm just going to go under the curvature of his eyes on the cheeks. And then with that E000, I'm just hitting the edges. I'm not going over the whole red. I'm the R20, just the edges to fan it out and soften it. And then I'm going to come around and do the same thing on the other one. Just hitting the edges to blend those pieces out. And when we do our second layer, it'll come together a lot nicer. So now we're going to start that second layer. So back with that E04. We're going to put in those little areas for the ears. And then that whole underside of his hairline down to the sideburns on both sides. So we are a Marvel family. Well, I mean, my husband doesn't really care too much about superhero movies, if I'm being honest. But me and my son love the whole superhero stuff. Love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. The new one will be coming out this summer, so that's why I decided to do Peter Quill. And then my Digi-Days with Annie leading up to the summer. Every month I'm going to be doing another character from Guardians of the Galaxy. It'll just be a handful of them. It's not, 12 characters or anything like that. But we will have some of the fun characters of the originals. And I think volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy, so make sure you don't miss those days when we do Annie's Digi Days, because if you like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the only time you're going to be able to get characters from us of Guardians of the Galaxy. My E11 is starting to get a little gunky here, so I'm going to have to do some marker maintenance on this. But in the meantime, we're doing our E11, blending out that E04, and then again, going a little bit past. Yeah, it's sticky too. Really gunk. I'm going to need a new tip, all kinds of stuff. Oh, you know what we forgot? We forgot to do the part near his eye with that E04. Oops. So we're just going to do that little part once again, like so. And then with our E11, we're gonna just extend it a little bit more. All right. Now we're gonna go in with our E21, and we're going to get our ear. And then we can go ahead and start shading out our previous colors. Now I gotta work a little harder because of that gunk. I hate when that happens with the markers, when they get a little bit shiny on there from the gunkiness. And I'm sure it has to do with we've had really crazy weather the past couple days. We don't get cold weather, and when we do, it's very sparingly. And we have had more cold winter days this year than I remember having last year or even the year before. Okay, and then with our E00, that's the last of the ear parts. And then we're gonna blend this out. I'm gonna go underneath his face there so that I can go around the eye completely, bridge past over my nose, go around this eye. And then I can start to close the gap up on top. And then I'm going to take my E000, and then I can just blend all the rest of it together. And a little bit of my eye bled in there, and we'll correct that either with the gel pen or I'll correct it with the colorless blender. Probably the gel pen, because I think the colorless blender will end up pushing it out too far the other way. And then back with our R20 to go under the cheeks. Look at, like it literally is sticking because of that E11. And then our E000 again, and now I'm just gonna fan it up and around on my eyes. And I'm just gonna go over one more time to even that out. And then I'm going to use R39 and R24 just to do his tongue really quick. So I'm just going to put in the R24. And then I'm going to take my R39 and I'm just going to hit a little bit on the bottom part of the tongue and then go back over that line to blend it in. And there we have our Peter skin. Okay, it looks blotchy on camera, but it's not blotchy in my hand. So I don't know if I have my lighting or my settings are a little weird, but there we go that way. And you know what? My white on this side of his face is definitely longer than the other side. So I'm just gonna go and kind of fix that a little bit. I'm gonna take that R20 just so that they match a little bit better. Okay, now I gotta fix this side now. And like I said, your colorless blender or a white gel pen can help if you do not get a really good circle, which I do not. Let's see. I had issues with my gel pen in my last video, so I need to find the one that actually works well. Okay, this one should be okay. So I am going to go in the eye here and just kind of follow around the outline of the black of the eye, just to get that white area in there since I bled into it. And then this one's not as perfectly circle as I'd like either, so I'm just gonna fix those little cheats here and there, pick up along the way. Okay, so there's the eyes, look a little bit better. Okay, and then I can go ahead and put in his little highlights, like so. And this gel pen I'm going to put there so I know that is the one that was working. All right, so now we're going to go and do his hair. And for his hair, we are going to be using, where did I put my hair colors? Is this one? Let's see. E29. Hold on, E29. Where did I put the hair? Okay, hold on. 29, 39, 17, and 15 is what I chose. So here we go. So Peter has he has brown hair. He's definitely a brunette, but it's got a little bit of an auburny color to it as well. So I thought these colors might work well. So it's E29 for the darkest, E39, 17, and then 15. Is it gonna work? Don't know. We're gonna try it out. So E29, even though it's not my hot, now here's something, for those of you just learning about Copics too. E29 is not my highest color number. E39's highest, but my E29 is darker than my E39. So you want to always make sure that you know about the color families and what these numbers represent. Because if you're just grabbing numbers thinking that a higher number is a darker number, you're not going to get the results that you want. You really need to understand the numbering system. So E29 is what's going to be used for my darkest shading parts. And in his roots, he's got wavy hair. I'm not very good at wavy hair, so that is my little disclaimer here, but I'm going to follow a lot of the lines that are already drawn on here with my E29. But I'm going to start first with these bangy type areas, I guess you want to call them, and I am just going to flick a little bit of roots there and into this area. And then this piece is underneath that top piece, so this will have a shading area coming out from underneath it. This area here is going to have some, and then I'm going to follow the curves that are already drawn in there for me. And so I have this area over here. So this is gonna flick and just following those curves. And then this one over here is gonna have some. And these should be short and sparingly. Again, this is just your darkest root area. So you don't want them to be too long and fill in too much of the space. Okay, and then I'm gonna just do 1 or 2 going up from the tip here, just to have that little bit of contrast. And we're gonna continue following these curves that I drew in when we made the stamp and use those as our guide. Basically, any part that one part of hair is on top of the other, that undersiding part of the hair is going to have a shadow cast on it. So that's just what we're trying to accomplish right now, like so. And then I'm going to go in with my E39, which is going to give it this little bit of a reddish tone to it, but not anything crazy. And we're going to go on top of what we already put down and just extend those pieces. So I'm just extending them out by going over what I already have down. Like so. Just keep following those lines. Again, wavy hair is trickier than straight hair for obvious reasons, I'm thinking. Hopefully you agree about the obvious thinking part. I mean, you might actually like doing wavies more than straight. I think if wavy hair is done right and it catches the light the right way, it's amazing. So, but again, I am not a pro at wavy hair at all. And I need some right over here too. So I'm just gonna come off this part and make a little bit of a wave going in that direction. And then we're going to take our E17, and then this is going to give us a little bit more red, but see how nice it complements and blends with that last one. So it's not going to be a huge color change. It's going to be very subtle, but bringing in some more of a reddish brown color from Mr. Quill. Let me do it this way. Let me go start getting up some more height on this part because we only have one more color left, and that's probably going to be too big of a gap. And that's fine if your gaps are not closing in really great now, because that means you have more white space. And that's okay, because when you do your second layer, you'll be able to see where you need more of those shadows to be going. And you'll be able to add more of the darkness and then extend the light. Because if you ended up going too far, it's harder to add the light part that you need back in. And I hope that made sense. Probably didn't explain it so well, but you'll see what I mean, because I definitely am going to need to adjust some of my color here when I go in with that last marker. And then our last one is E15, and it's just an even lighter reddish brown. And I am just going to fill in these gaps, but I'm going to go over the last colors. Okay, and then off to the side here, you can just blend it to the edge. Just go over what you last put down so those stroke marks are blending, so you don't have the line showing of where that last marker was. Again, it's just repetitiveness and going over those last pieces. And there is our Peter Quill hair. For me, there's not enough contrast. So even my E29, which I thought was going to be nice and dark, is not dark enough in those areas for me. So I'm just going to pull out my chart here. Here's E29. Not dark enough. Now, although I think I might either try, see the E18 is starting to get more into the reddy color. I really need the shadowy color. So I think I'm going to try E79. Don't follow along at home yet, kids, because this could go way crazy. But this is just how I color. I just keep building up the layers until I find what I like. So I'm going to try with my E79, and I'm just going to add in some darker roots. I really like dark contrasts in the coloring, and the blend that I picked was obviously not too contrasty there, because it all blended actually really well. So I'm just gonna add this in here, and then I will smooth it out with one of the reddish brown colors. I'm just adding this in here because I think it'll give me that kick that I was looking for. And that's a personal preference too. Some people like when their blends really match up really well and all go together, and that's fine. That's the aesthetic that you like. I just like contrast. Contrast and layers is like just what I enjoy most. So those are my darker colors. And now instead of going in with my E29, I think I'm going to go in with the E17 and see how this is going to... Oh, okay, it does. It blends it out nice. So I'm going to do that now with my shadowy bits. Just softening up that E79 like so. Okay. And then I'm going to take that E15, which is my lightest, just to blend out and extend to the end. So those lines are at least all blended together. And I definitely like this a lot better because it has that dark contrast in the roots, and it makes it stand out a lot better. Okay. And this will take care of our Peter's hair. All right. There we go. He's got great contrast to his hair now. We can even add more with colored pencils. I am just going to grab a pencil really quick and mark down that I added E79. All right. So now we're on to, he's got a gray shirt. He's got like a reddish orange, well, rust colored jacket that he wears, brown pants, and black shoes. So we're going to go and we're going to do his shirt first. And I'm gonna do these in cool grays. I picked the odds 1, 3, 5, and 7, but I don't think we need to go as high as 7. So I'm gonna start with my 5 because it's a small area, and I picked 4 colors, but I think we can get away with the 3. So for this, I am gonna put my shadow on this side of his jacket shirt underneath, because this part is like bellowing out, like it's hitting light more. And then my C3. And his t-shirt is one of those really light gray shirts. So I don't want this to be like overpowering gray. I want it to look like a light gray. So now back in with my C1 and blending that all out. He is wearing a very light gray shirt. Okay, and we're just gonna do that. So we did not need C7, so let me cross that off my list. And let's just go in and do our second layer of that. So back in with our C5, going down the side and a little across the belt top. Then our C3 is going on top and extending it out, that shadow. And then our C1. And this is just gonna fill in all the rest of his shirt. And there is his shirt. Now for his jacket, we are gonna try EO8, 19, 8, okay, 19, 9, 8, and 7. Oh, helps if they're on camera. And then this one is a chow, so it's 8. And we'll see how these look. Don't know, we're gonna play. So it's gonna be 19 first, then 9, 8, and 7 in that order. Okay, so let's see. For our 19, we are gonna want to do the underside of this sleeve here. This is the part of the jacket folding back in, so that needs to be dark. Okay, and then we need a little bit up there and on the collar. And then on this side, we need underneath like the lapel-y part. And then we're gonna do sleeve and up the sleeve and then down his waist side. We'll see how that goes. Then we're gonna go in with our E09. So on top of that and extending it down. Just darkening these areas and extending. Okay. Then with our 8, EO8, running out of room here. Okay, 8, EO8. It's just he has like, it's a rusty color jacket that he wears in the movie. And now we need to get part of this lapel started as well, and that collar piece. And then finally our 7. Just to sort of blend it all out. And then our sleeve over here. And again, not enough contrast for me. So I am gonna grab, let's see, maybe that E79 could actually work again. but I don't know where I just stuck it. Okay, E79. Very sparingly, I'm going to use this in the darkest shadows. Like so. Back side of the jacket. Its other sleeve going up here. And then down on that waistline. On that collar. And underneath. Much better with the contrasting. And then I'm going to take my lightest color, which was that E07, just to kind of smooth it out. And I'm not even going to have to do 2 layers on this jacket because the contrast of that E79 really plays it up well enough that I don't need to. All right, so there's his jacket. Now for his pants, we actually are going to need our E79. Then we're going to do E59, 27, and 25. So E79, 59, 27, and 25. And we're going to do his pants. So starting with our E79, we are going to first go down his inner seam here by his private jewels, okay? And then we are going to put in some of the fold lines because this is the back leg, like so. And then I have the fold lines already drawn, so you can just kind of trace and copy those on the other leg, and then we're going to go down the side as well. And you know what? We need to go underneath the waist and his belt, the waist of his jacket, I mean, and then the belt as well. So that was E79. Then we're going to go in with our E59 and extend all of this out and blend. Okay, don't forget to go underneath that waistline again and go above and beyond that inner seam piece that you had because it has a top and a bottom, as opposed to these only have the one way to go on the sides of the pants. Then in with your E27. Now we're going to be starting to see a little bit more of the brown color of his pants. He does wear like a dark brown pant, but since so much of the colors on him are in this brown and rust family, I just wanted to use different colors so at least your eye diffuses and sees that they are all different shades of the color. And then our E25, which is just gonna go and blend out the rest of the pant. Okay, and then we're gonna do this one more time to really pop up the color again. So back with that E79, going down the sides of his legs, that inner seam, making sure you grab those folds where the knees are, just so your pants have some movement in it with his knees. And then with our E59, just extend it a little bit. And I'm probably going to use some colored pencil on the pants just to give it a little bit more depth and definition. especially in the shadowy areas. And then your E25 just to blend it all out. If you don't have colored pencils, you can also use toners, your toner markers. If you have toner markers, they are really great and I love them. And then for his shoes, we are going to use, because we used cool grays there, we're going to use warm grays on his shoes. So we picked out some evens, 10, 8, 6, and 4. So for the 10, I'm going to definitely do it as the soles of the shoe. And I'm going to do that solid. There's going to be no blending of colors on the sole of the shoe. But then I'm going to do this back portion and underneath the pant leg. And that was with W10. Then with my W8, I'm just going to go over the shoe part, not the sole part. Just extend that out a little bit. W6. Phew, excuse me. W6, extending and blending, and you'll start to see the color changing now into a lighter gray. And then finally your W4, blending out the rest of it. And those are his shoes. And we can go ahead and do another coat. Even though we're using grays, it reads as a black shoe. I can't remember the last time I used black for black. I just don't ever use black for black. Even black, I mean, there's so many variations of black out there. Like, you know, I'm sure we all have black pants that we've tried to wear with a black shirt, and the blacks are not the same. So there are variations of black as well, but they still read black. And it's the same with your warm grays. Even though we're using grays, it's going to read that he's wearing his black shoes. Okay. And then my W4, my last, just to blend it all out. And there are his shoes. And now we just need to do his belt. And I don't even know what color his buckle is. But we're going to just color in this side part of the belt in our W8. And then I think we're just going to give him, I guess we can just give him, I don't know if he wears a gold belt. I feel like he would probably have like a silver type belt. So maybe we will go in with our cool grays. But we're going to start, remember last time we skipped the 7? We're going to use the 7 this time because if we kept it the same color, it's going to match the shirt too much, and we don't want that. So we're going to start with our C7, and I'm going to go over the top and down the side for that. And then I'm going to go in with my C5 and bring it down just a little bit. Then my C3, blending it out like so. And then I'm going to take my C1 and go over everything. And it just kind of gives them like a silvery type belt instead of gold. And there is our Peter Quill. But we're going to go, and I'm going to add some colored pencil to that. So what you're going to want to grab, if you're going to do this with me, is I'm only going to use, I only really use 2 colored pencils, which is my black one and my white one, and then a blending stump and some Gamma-Sol. Okay, so this is my bottle of Gamma-Sol. And then I have just a standard white and a standard black colored pencil. and then some blending stumps. These come in different shapes and sizes, and it just depends on the area that you're working on, what you need. I usually like the one that's actually in between these two sizes, but I couldn't find it, so I grabbed these two instead. So what I'm going to do is, you always want to make sure that your pencil is nice and sharp. So I'm just going to sharpen this black one real quick. And Gambasil and your color pencils, they go a long way. You do not lay the coloring down like you're coloring. Basically, even when I do it, and I'm not going to be doing it on all parts of his outfit either. Usually, mostly just the pants is where I really want the contrast, because I like the contrast in his t-shirt and I like the contrast in the jacket that I got. But I'm not ecstatically crazy about the contrast in his pants. So, but what I normally try to do is I actually put my colored pencil on the drawn lines of the stamp. So I'm not adding any extra bulk to my line. And I know that I want some over here by his knee and going up and down. And as you can see, I did not make my line any thicker than what it already was. And then I'm going to just go, so I'm actually just tracing on the line. And then I'm going to grab my little mini one, and I'm just going to get the tip of it wet with the Gambasil, and then I can blend the black out. And it just adds a little bit of a darker contrast to the projects. And I'm going to go, because I want to do the underside part of here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull down on the pencil. I don't know if it's showing, you can't really see it on camera because we're in a dark area in the coloring, but in person you can see the shading. And so if you're doing this, you can see the shading that you're laying down. Okay, like so. Now the white works kind of the opposite, at least how I like to use it. I like to use it as just like kind of a highlight of where color is going to hit. And I like using a white pencil as opposed to a gel pen. As you can see here, the gel pen is sitting on top of your inks and your colors and everything, whereas a pencil is more subtle and I don't want to say translucent, but it takes more of the color of what is underneath it. And it softens over time as well. And I just like that to add some highlights to certain areas of where I think, you know, the light would be hitting. So I'm going to do on the top of his shoulder and going down this part of the sleeve, and then this part of the sleeve as well. And maybe this flap that's open. And then I think on the top of his buckle, and that belt might have some. And then maybe just a little on the side of his pants. Since I'm saying that, you know, if I'm saying that the light would be coming that way. And then you can always add some to the top of the shoes as well. And you can see it kind of lays on and takes over. It's more subtle than the harshness of a gel pen. And we can even add some more contrast. I'm going to do some maybe in his hair. Hopefully it'll show up a little bit better for you than it did on the pants, because that didn't really come up on the camera as much. So let's see how this goes. Now, the only thing you do want to know is once you do this with your projects, you cannot go back over areas with your Copic markers. So you definitely want to always leave this to the end to add this part and these elements to your project. It's kind of the last resort and the last stop in the journey, because you cannot go back with the markers. And I know some people find this to be a little bit scary, but once you do it that first time, it's kind of addicting, especially when you do it on colors that really show the shadows with the pencil. So much nicer than just what you get with your markers. And then we're going to go down some of the side here. And just make sure though, you know, we don't want the black to get into his face, so you're pushing it away from the line that you put the pencil at, so it doesn't bleed into those areas. And again, a little colored pencil and Gamasol goes a really, really long way. You see, I'm not like coloring a section for it to get pushed. I'm just drawing a line and then dragging that color out. And there, you know, obviously you can do, I know Steven will sometimes use the pinks in the face or on the skin, and you can do that too. I'm just using it as highlighting pieces for my shadows and my highlights. So even though I have every colored pencil, just like probably everyone else here does, I don't really use them in that capacity. Okay, so this is our finished image of Peter Quill, and we will be assembling our card next, and we will be using the cassette tape from the 80s box, because if you've seen the movie, you know how Peter Quill just loves his mixtape, and I thought that would be the perfect complement for a Valentine cards with Peter Quill and an 80s mixtape. Okay, see you in the next segment. Okay, so now we are going to go with the construction of my card. And we're just going to play because I don't know exactly all the elements I want to use. So I pulled out a couple of different colors of paper to see what's going to happen and how I'm going to layer. I want it to look like the cassette tape from the movie. Again, I always like chipboard, so I cut this at a 20-point chipboard. So I'm going to use this to just help stabilize my card. But this was the die that came with the 80s box. And it makes the perfect part that I need for my Guardians of the Galaxy card. So there is the cassette tape. So you see the shape of that. And what I did is I went and I cut, let me just get my card mat pieces out of the way since I don't need those yet. So the cassette tape, when I first looked, I thought it was orange. But it actually has the sticker on it that's on the inside of here, which is a cream color with like a reddish orange stripe. So I'm not going to end up using this orange after all. I'm going to stencil the colors that I want. And then I have the chipboard of all the other pieces so that I can make it nice. And then I cut out Awesome Mix Volume 1 for my label. So we are going to do some ink blending and assembly. So the first thing that I want to do is these pieces need to all get cut, well, they're already cut, glued onto their coordinating pieces, and then I'm going to ink blend those up. So I'm going to go and grab my glue, and we're going to first glue them, and then I will ink blend them second. So this is the bottom of the cassette tape where it gets wrapped when it goes through the machine part. God, I haven't seen a cassette. Well, we still have some cassette tapes, I think, in our closet, like stored away of some old things that we've had. But I mean, I haven't physically laid eyes on one in quite a long time. And then this is for the tracky part that goes on the inside. And like I said, I just Googled the Volume 1 mixtape / Guardians of the Galaxy on Google so I could kind of get an idea of what it looks like. I should have printed it out so I have it on my desk for reference, but I didn't think to do that. Okay, and oh, this might actually should have maybe gone. I should have done a dry fit first. Hold on, I think I put this on backwards. I might have to cut another one of these real quick in case, yeah, I'm gonna have to cut another one of that piece in a second, no biggie. And then we have our label part. So just going to glue that there. Okay, and then I need to also cut the cassette tape itself. I thought I cut it in a gray. Oh, here it is. So I'm gonna glue this down to here. Again, I just like putting chipboard on the back of my elements. It makes your card not as flimsy. I think it just holds up better over time. It adds that sturdiness to it. And your paper doesn't tear as easily when you're doing certain things with it as well. So there's that. This we're gonna cut out to make the label. Where are these little, here's one of the chipboards. Where's the other little? Here it is. And we're just gonna put these little pieces on as well. Try to line this up correctly with the gear shape that's on the inside. Do that as best as you can. And I'm going to repeat it for the second one. These are thin little pieces, so hopefully they don't fly away. I'm sure I'm going to lose them on my desk when I'm like, hey, where are those pieces when it's time to put the card together? Because I always seem to lose little pieces on my desk. Okay, so now we have the spinny gears. Okay, so I need to go, what is it? I need to go cut out another piece of that inner part. So I am going to stop the video real quick so you guys don't have to wait around. Let me go cut out another piece of that, this piece here. I will be right back. Okay, all the magic of video, you didn't even have time to miss me. See? Gosh, I'm so quick, right? I'm just gonna dry fit this because what I think I happened to have done the last time was, oh, no, it's the same either way. I guess I did make it asymmetrical. I must have not put it down quick enough. I'm just gonna take an X-Acto knife and clean up this little edge. Okay, now where's my X-Acto knife? Just want to clean it up just a smidge. Okay, that's better. All right, and now I can go ahead and glue. I'll probably just do one side at a time since last time I did it, I didn't get it on there fast enough and it shifted. So I'm gonna be smart this time and do it like so. get that piece on. And then I can go ahead and put some glue on the little narrow piece. And then the other side. Before I run out of time. There we go. Much better. All right. And these are really skinny areas right here, so I want to be extra careful. Okay, so we have these pieces we all need to darken up. Oh, you know what? These probably should have been white, maybe. Because they're going to go there and I want them to show up. So I might have to cut those out too. All right, let's not worry about that yet. Let's go ahead and we will ink blend some of these. And then if I need to cut them out in white, we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to move this stuff off to the side. I am going to be using some dark grays. And because I want them all to be of different varying shades of gray, I'm going to do them multiple layers of shading so that they all have different tones of the gray and the black. If you've ever seen black plastic, you know, smoke, they usually call it smoke, the color. If you have a piece of smoke plastic on top of another piece of smoke black plastic, the back piece is going to come through looking darker because you have the two layers together. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I want this base piece to be the darkest. And then I'm going to put a lighter ink blended piece on top of it to give kind of that illusion of it being a little smoke plastic on smoke plastic. I'm not worried about the center part here because that's going to get covered with the sticker. So I'm not really worrying about that. I just want to make sure I really get a nice dark edge on here. And I could have used my black. I'm using mist right now. I might go in with some moon rock, see if that adds any darker to it. And let's see, is this moon rock? This is moon rock. I'm going to flip my brush over though, just in case. I could have gone in with obsidian, which is our black ink. But I didn't want it to be like overpowering black because it's, you know, the cassette tapes are plastic and they're see-through. So I didn't want it to be like a harsh, you know, black piece of paper or black cardstock. I wanted it to have a little bit of variation in it. And I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to use this lighter gray and I'm going to hit it up, but I'm going to hit it up lighter and not as heavy, just to get a little bit of color on there. Transforming it enough, but not too much. But at least you can see there's a difference. And I might actually go in there with my black now that I'm looking at it. But we'll see. Let's just get these pieces taken care of first. And then we could, because we can always add on the darker color. This will definitely show up because it's going to be going on that beigey paste. Let me see, where is my obsidian ink? And is that it? No, that's Willow Bow. Where is my black? Of course, you never can find it when you need it because I pulled all the colors out of my case. Okay, let's see. Well, you know what? I do have some distress ink, so let me just use Black Soot Distress ink really quick instead. Let me grab a different brush. Just since it is a different brand of ink, I'm gonna use a different brush on here. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so I lied, and I'm making it dark black after all. But you can still see that it's got that gray paper underneath it, so it's not too crazy. Ooh, messy, messy. And I really just want it so that that piece pops on top to give it that dimension. And yeah, this is Distressed Ink in Black Soot. Okay. And let me put that off to the side. I'm gonna need to go get a baby wipe since my fingers are completely dirty now. Okay, and so we can see now that this piece is going to pop up more on it. Okay, so I'm gonna go clean my hands off. I'm gonna get a new piece of paper to put under the underside, and I'm gonna go cut these in white, just on the off chance that that is, well, technically, I guess, no, they don't need to be white because they're gonna show up on here. So you know what, scratch that. Okay, baby wipe and a new piece of paper so I can do the red ink. Okay, and we are back. So we have our base there. This is the section we need to work with next, which is going to be the sticker part. So the die does leave like a little small impression, so you can kind of see to cut it. So I am going to, I know that cutter is not very good, but I'm just gonna go and trim this off with my whiskers really quick. And then I will use scissors to finish, because it has like little baby rounded corners on it. And then we're gonna do this little angled side. We have this. Oops. And the left side here. Okay. So this is like the sticker part that will go in the center. The only the thing I hate about that cutter is it roughs the paper up. It's not like a very clean cut, because it's not like a blade on blade. It's the slidey kind. So it doesn't always give you like a nice clean cut. So I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and just cut off these little flyaway pieces as best as I can. Or, you know, you use your fingernail, and sometimes you can push them to the back side. That's all I'm doing here. Okay, so now for this part of the mixtape, the label has stripes, like it's a thin stripes, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So I am just going to take a ruler really quick, just so I can kind of eyeball where I want these lines to go. And I'm not gonna, you know, do them exactly like how they're on the actual tape that's out there, but enough to try to get the look and feel of that retro style. And I just want little ones, I think, that go every 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to put tape down when I ink blend this. But this is just so I can kind of get an idea of where I'm going with them. Okay, so I'm just going to get some tape. And I'm gonna mask off the areas for the lines. I'm gonna try to be as straight as I can. And we'll see what happens. And I like to kind of, even though it's a low tack tape, sometimes, you know, they still end up lifting up on your paper and ripping your paper. So I just like to rub off a little bit more of the tacky. Okay, and then I'm going to use crimson, which it's not, you know, a traditional, it's not like red, and it's not quite like a barn red either. It's kind of in between the two. And I think this color just might be retro enough to make it work. Okay. And sorry, my son just came into the room. You could also, if you know, just drag your inks across as well. That works. But I'm using like a textured cardstock, so I know it wouldn't have filled in everything. Okay, so there is my stripe number 1. And now I need to block off what we just did, because this is the cream line, and then this is red, cream, red, cream. So we're gonna put our tape here for that piece. And I'm gonna grab another piece just off camera, unsticking it a little bit. And sorry if my head gets in the shot here and you have to see that. There's that. And now let's go and ink blend this piece. Okay. And now we can undo this one, undo this one. Now we're gonna, again, just moving it up. I'm not gonna follow my lines this time because I think I want to add a few more extras than what I drew. And I want them to get smaller and smaller and skinnier. So I am going to do it like so. So I'm just kind of winging it now. And since I plan on putting the cassette tape on an angle, if I'm not straight, it's okay, because if you don't cut something straight and then you have your card, but you position things on an angle, no one's really the wiser that it's not straight because it's on the angle. So that's a good little tip to know, because I don't do straight lines all the time. Oh, but I'm loving how this is coming out so far. I probably could have even put a skinnier one in that section too. Okay, so one more. I think one more should cover it. And then we'll be done with our stripes. This is going to be a skinny one. Baby little skinny. And it's supposed to just kind of give that retro feel and look of the old school cassette tapes. Okay, so there is that. And let me grab another baby wipe just so I can make sure I don't transfer red ink anywhere. Okay, and now I am just gonna grab these pieces. I'm gonna get this out out of the way. Just flip that over. Work with a clean slate here. So now we have this part of our cassette tape. That's gonna go right like that. Awesome Mix tape number 1 can go there. This piece is gonna go here. Oh, I need to put a backing of like, that's, you know, you would see the tapes part spinning. And then that's the real, yeah, those need to be white or cream colored. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and glue some of the pieces down that we can, which is going to be this piece here. Just kind of having fun and figuring it out as I go along. I had the idea in my head, but obviously, as you saw, it wasn't all planned out, like to the point of knowing all the colors and what they were going to be. I'm just trying to center this and down to the bottom. And then, oh, we forgot to curve our little edges here, so I'm just gonna round them a tad, just a little bit, so that looks like a sticker. So I'm just cutting little round corners. And then, I don't know, maybe it should go this way so that the Awesome Mix tape is in more of the thick piece. Or do I want it where it is more on, actually, I think I like it where it's top heavy. Okay. And you can still see sort of the indent of the die, so you will be able to line that up. I'm just gonna use my finger on here because those little flyaway pieces are still there. Watching Robin Hood today, so you're listening to Little John singing the song about Prince John. No, is it Little John and Prince John? Okay, so I am just sort of eyeballing that within that indentation piece. Sorry about that, guys, but if you want a video with Anne, you get a video with Colin sometimes, too. Alright, and then this I have to kind of play with a little bit more because you got to figure out where everything is going to go. So if I have this here, this is going to go, make it line up with that. Alright, so I'm going to glue this next. Oh, I almost put it on upside down. That would not have been fun. And I know I want it to be in between with that red line halfway through, and then obviously halfway in between the center as well. And you could even make this into a shaker card if you cut all the insides out and built up a frame. You can do that. So I have just a piece of scrap paper here that I'm probably going to glue to the back side, and then I can draw in little pieces of the tape, like it was being, oh wait, let me see. I don't want to use it. I think this is going to be for my card net, so you know what, I'm going to just, this is hammer mill paper anyway, so it's just good and fine to use this. Okay, and let me just size it up so I know how wide to cut it. And I'm gonna cut it just a smidge smaller and shorter so that I can get it to fit underneath like so. Okay, and I'm gonna take my pencil again. Where'd I put it? Just so I can kind of have an idea. And what I want to do is I kind of want to have, you know, this sort of look of the tape. So now I'm just gonna go grab a Copic marker and a multi-liner. So I'm gonna, whoops, let me grab a multi-liner. Let's see, what number is this? Is a 5. That'll be fine. And I'm just gonna grab, let's see what I can find here. W8 and maybe a 6. Okay. And I'm just gonna blend in, because this is supposed to be the tape. So nothing fancy that I'm doing, just trying to add some color for the tape. Okay. I'm making sure I got it covered in there, which I do, which is fine and dandy. And now I can go and I'm just going to make those little, you know, tape lines. So I'm just going, and I'm going to make one side further than the other, like, oh, he's been listening to this tape a lot. And that's all there is to that. I mean, it's not the prettiest, but it makes the effect that I'm going for. Oh, wrong piece. We're going to glue this now down to it. Just gonna line that up as best as I can. I'm not worrying about the glue that I got in there because it will dry clear, but you can always go in there with your pokey tool, kind of, or pair of tweezers. I usually use the flat side of a pair of tweezers and scoop glue out. I've done that many times. Okay. So that is that. Let me see, here's my pair of tweezers. So I just can kind of push that glue right out of there. But it does dry clear, so I wouldn't have really cared about it, to be honest with you. Okay, and then this can get put right in the center of our cassette tape. Just going to eyeball where I want this to go. This usually is about the same size as that bottom piece, so since you've already centered that, if you just kind of line it up there, you should be good. Not that I expect most of you are actually using this cassette tape die, because unless you had the 80s box, you wouldn't. And then we're back to our dilemma with these, what do you call them, the turny things, which I do want to cut out of the white. So I am going to just quickly run these through my Big Shot, and then I'm just gonna glue them right on top. It doesn't matter. Whoop. Lost one there. Okay, so I went ahead and I cut them out, and now I'm just gonna glue. I like it a lot better with them being in the white, because those usually are white in the cassette tapes anyways. I didn't put it on the chipboard because I didn't want to have to cut those out again. And then I realized that they are not asymmetrical, so the ones that I already glued were not perfectly correct to begin with. So I'm just going to glue this down. Oop, again, don't care. It's gonna dry clear. And then my other one. Oh, off the screen, sorry, but I caught myself, so yay for me. All right, so there is our awesome mixtape. Here is our Peter. And now we are going to put our card kind of together. If I can get this back in there. Okay, so originally, because I thought it was orange and it's Valentine's, I was gonna do it with the orange with the pink, and then it was just too much, and then I had decided I'll just block out and just use the border of the pink. But now I'm thinking the border actually needs to either be black or it needs to be red, but I'm going to go with black. And since I don't really have to glue anything on there, I'm just going to use the chipboard that I have, and I'm going to take that black distress ink, and I'm literally, because this is all that's going to show, I'm just going to ink it up, giving me that faux, because this is going to go right on top of it. And yeah, you're going to see those stitch marks, which is fine. Kind of adds to it. I might actually even go back with a red gel pen and add it as stitching onto the card. So now I just want to get the edges of the sides of the card as well. And then I'll just give this a minute to dry before I start gluing. Okay, so we're gonna have this, and then I also have our sentiments already pre-cut and printed. And you can even, if you wanted, I could ink blend a little on the edges of here, but I want to leave it nice and crisp and white. So I'm just gonna wait for this to dry a few minutes. Well, not minutes, and especially in this video, it's like literally 10 seconds because it's the magic of video. So we're just gonna do this. Let's see. Okay, it looks like it's dry. So let me get out my glue again, and let me just make sure I know if I'm lining it up where it's gonna just cover those stitch marks. So it's just going to give that little baby hint of a border. I thought it was going to be smaller. I was thinking I used my other card mat die that goes inside, so I could have done the stitching, but I forgot that's the scalloped card mat die, goes inside the stitching, or right on top of the stitching actually. But that would be cool to take a gel pen or paint pen and go in that stitching and add some nice stitching elements to it. I'm gonna need my bigger glue tube because it takes too long with that kind. Oh, cut. Here we go, final. All right. Now I'm just going to line this up as best as I can. in the center, right near those stitched markings. So I get a nice even border all around. Put my glue back. Okay. Now we have our mix tape, which I'm going to put on the edge like so. And then I have Come and Get Your Love, Will You Be Mine? Doesn't pop really enough like I wanted. I might actually use this as the sentiment inside of the card then. So I'm going to glue this down, and then I'm probably going to pop up Peter. And I could, let's see, if I put this on another piece of paper and maybe make arrows, that would make it kind of retro too. So let's see if I was to do something like that. See, I just kind of go with the flow, and things change all the time when I am making cards. It's only when I have a class to teach that things are actually planned. And now my pencil sharpener, of course, I had other pencils. So I'm going to cut that there, and then if I kind of make arrows like so. So let me just cut and trim where this is going to go behind his leg. Okay. And then what I'm thinking is if I had a bigger sheet with the arrow, so I can actually turn it this way too. Let me think. All right, in the meantime, I am going to go ahead and glue this down. Just gluing down. Sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't on screen. Not that you care to see just people gluing stuff down, because that's kind of boring. And then I'm just putting it on an angle again. Just adds a nice aesthetic look as opposed to it being completely straight. And then I'm going to get some pop dots. We're gonna pop him up. And I gotta figure out this sentiment, what I wanna do here. I really think it could kind of be cute, but then at the same time, it's gonna be, shoot, shoot, shoot. Yep, I think we're just gonna have to, let's see if I put it there. Because it's hitting this piece here, and I don't wanna put it too low either. And I need him to go up a little higher, so let's see what we can do. So I'm not going to pop dot the front leg at this time, just in case I want to slide that piece underneath. And he is going to need probably an extra layer. See, because he doesn't need pop dots there because he's going to be on that tape deck part, and it's already raised, so that part he could just get glued to, because he'll be even with this part, but he's not even with our base part because this is thick from the cardstock. So I'm going to do that arm and then this leg. So it's like this arm, and then we're going to need to trim a little off for the arm, and then we need to trim a little more for the legs. One more, I think, here. And then I can always add to that other leg later if I need to, once I figure out how I'm going to slide that sentiment under him. So he's going to go like that, and then this way, this will be tacked down, but then I still have some playroom to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with this sentiment. Okay, so we are going to now remove our pop-ups. These are super sticky pop dots that we carry. If you've ever gotten our grab and go boxes, you know that they are super sticky and adhere really well to projects. Okay, one more. Alrighty. And we're gonna slide so I know. There we go. Let's just move him up just a snap. All right, so there is, and then of course, you know, you would glue this to your card base. And that is the end of my project with you guys for now. So I can figure out what I'm going to do with my sentiment. I honestly think I'm going to put another layer behind it so I can border out and do like arrows or something to at least replicate maybe the retro feel of it, but I haven't figured it out yet. So you don't have to sit here and worry with me trying to figure it out. Enjoy the rest of your day and the other projects and have a good time, and happy Love Day event. Bye.